So what are we? Some kind of federation of fear?
Everybody here remembers Vizon, right? Well, Vizon's getting his shit pushed in by an army of lizard people known as Ziglac. The fight starts to go badly. Vizon loses consciousness and wakes up in a jail cell. He finds himself surrounded by a bunch of unfamiliar faces. That is, they're unfamiliar to him. They're not quite as unfamiliar to us. Y'all remember Karapar and Takadox, of course. The two other inmates are Rudaka and Makuta Spiria. This is a model I made for a custom character. He's just cosplaying as Spiria for the time being. Spiria is a Makuta who was exiled. He was exiled for turning the Skakti into what they are today. In case you forgot, the Skakti are now giant superpowered rage monsters because Spiria mutated them and gave them way too much power. This made him into a disgrace to his people. He's kind of a dumb piece of shit. The atmosphere already starts off as deeply unpleasant, and it's only made worse when their warden shows up. As y'all know, when Brutaka enters the chat, shit gets real. I remain indecisive about my hair. No sooner has Brutaka shown up that Rudaka tries to schmooze her way out of the situation. She's like, let me out and I'll make it worth your while, daddy. However, Brutaka was prepared for this and had a wisdom fap beforehand. So he remains completely undeterred in explaining why he's there. He explains to the group, y'all are a bunch of undesirable pieces of shit. There are some real dangerous missions lined up that my employers are not willing to send their hard-working friends out to do. Vizon is the first to pop the question of, what makes us so special? Brutaka explains that if y'all die, no one's gonna give a shit. So you can follow me on these missions and I can grant you your freedom if I feel like it, or you can refuse, and I'll fucking kill you. This is all related to the Brotherhood of Makuta, and y'all have all had dealings with the Brotherhood of Makuta. Vizon's like, that wasn't me, that was another guy named Vizok. At which point Karapar's like, shut up, you toothy git, and throws Vizon across the room. Brutaka is incredibly pleased by what's going on. After Brutaka gathers his worthless peons, he decides that the next thing they need is a really good, fast boat. Better than the one they already seem to have anyway. I don't know, it's not really clear. Brutaka decides that the best place to go for this is the island of Stelt. He doesn't tell any of them where they're going, but as soon as they arrive, Rudaka has a hissy fit. If you'll remember, a little while ago, she got a Stelt named Sidorak killed when he got mauled by a big motherfucker known as Kitongu. And she is a wanted criminal on that island. She explains this to Brutaka, and he's just like, yeah, I know. At which point Karapar fucking bodies her. In case you weren't playing along at home, let me explain. Brutaka's going to sell her for a boat, because a wanted criminal with a price on her head is probably a fair trade for a boat. So they arrive in Stelt and find a poor sap to take the bait. Things are not going to go well for this guy. I have Swiss liqueur. So the gang finds a guy with a boat and tries to sell Rudaka to him for the boat. At least that's the appearance that they're keeping up. Meanwhile, Takadox has snuck onto the boat and is making the dude's crewmen jump ship with his hypnosis powers. Devious little shit. Brutaka explains to this dude that if you're gonna take her prisoner, it's gotta look like you were in a fight. And the guy's like, okay. Brutaka tells Vizon to do it. And this dude's kind of confused because Vizon is just like a gangly little bitch. Like, he couldn't really hurt anybody if he tried. Vizon's like, all right, square up. And the dude says, yeah, just don't make it, like, too bad, okay? Because this poor guy obviously doesn't want to get hurt. At which point, Brutaka just socks the dude in the back of the head and knocks him out cold. And the gang just takes his boat. Brutaka literally just did this to fuck with her. It's great. Takadox is like, well, what if he wakes up and tells people? And Brutaka's like, do you honestly think anybody's gonna believe a story about a dude letting himself get punched? Nah. Can you imagine if I went full Taraga and just started telling this story with rocks? Once they're on the ship, Brutaka explains to his crew exactly what they're doing. They're going to pick up a weapons cache and then go to an island called Artidax to free a dude named Miserix. In case y'all don't remember, Miserix was the leader of the Brotherhood of Makuta before Pterodax. The goal is that as soon as Pterodax is dead, they're going to replace him with Miserix and kind of reinstate the old order of things, which might work. Nobody's really sure. Things initially don't get that far, though. Because in short order, the boat gets surrounded by a bunch of seafaring Ziglac, under the leadership of none other than Spiria. You see, Spiria had a connection to the Ziglac insofar as he and their species were both seen as God's mistakes. So with the entire vessel surrounded by Ziglac, Spiria is effectively in control. So he sets a course for the island of Zakaz, where the Skakti are located. Presumably to commit a genocide against a people that he feels have wronged him. But Brutaka has an ace up his sleeve. Trader Joe's mac and cheese bites just hit different. So Spiria has mutinied against Brutaka, and is now charting a course with an army of lizard people to go to the island of Zakaz. This island is populated by a bunch of toothy motherfuckers known as Skakti. The reason Spiria is going there to try and genocide them is because they decided after he gave them superpowers that they didn't want to be his peons and just wanted to have fun killing each other. This got Spiria kicked out of the Brotherhood of Makuta. And he sees this as the ultimate betrayal, so naturally, genocide it is. Rudaka, of course, tries to get in his good graces and get herself a little bit of power, and he says, no, fuck you, bitch! So the plan seems to be completely derailed. But like I mentioned before, Brutaka has an ace up his sleeve. This becomes apparent when all the boats with the Ziglac in them start sinking. Brutaka had a failsafe just in case something like this happened. And that failsafe was a bunch of spiky underwater boys. We never find out exactly what they are, it's just heavily implied that they're genetically engineered freakazoids. Anyway. Now that whole mess with Spiria is settled, things can continue on. The next item of business is picking up a weapons cache. The weapons cache was dropped by a guy named Trinuma, Brutaka's fellow member of the Order of Madanui. He and good buddy Botar were on a mission to get these weapons directly to Brutaka, but that mission went foobar. Because Icarax showed up. And Icarax killed Botar. Yeah, the giant teleporting Austrian was defeated by a meathead with a fidget spinner. So Trinuma, valiant as ever, ran for his fucking life. He dropped the weapons on a random island for Brutaka and then went to deal with his PTSD. The gang arrive on the island to get the weapons. But everybody immediately notices that something is off about this island. Spiria is the first to realize where they are and starts immediately shitting his pants. He's like, Mutron told me about this place. We have to get the hell out of here. But then giant stone walls erupt along the shore of the island. And then Brutaka gets snatched up by a giant tentacle and dragged into a cave. I forgot something incredibly important in the last video. When Brutaka took his ship back from Spiria, he also gained a new guest. That guest who came to his aid was a powerful assassin named Lariska. Now, she's appeared a couple of times earlier in the Bionicle canon, but it's always been on kind of the side and it's never been all that important. But her arrival here is very significant in a particular way. Lariska is a servant of the Shadowed One, a Dark Hunter. She is in fact one of his most prized warriors. So why the hell is one of the most prized warriors of the Dark Hunters kicking it with a member of the Order of Madanui? The leader of the Dark Hunters, the Shadowed One, has a second in command whose name is Ancient. Ancient has seen the way the tide is turning. The Great Spirit's going to wake up. The Dark Hunters are about to be in a very complicated position. He figures they should be on the right side of history. So as a double agent, he's now allied himself with the Order of Madanui. This choice will end up biting Ancient in the ass in a major way. We'll get to that. Top of the morning to you, laddie! Brutaka gets dragged into a pit by a massive tentacle, and he comes face to face with the most horrible thing he's ever seen. It's a being that, as opposed to being cybernetic, is entirely made of flesh and bone. A mass of horrid tentacles that's been here for so long that over the course of the last millennia, it seems to have fused with the rock walls around it. You all may be familiar with this being already. We've brought him up before. His name is Tren Krom. This is the coolest thing I have ever fucking made. I basically just built a beholder on steroids. Every single thing you see here that's green is an eye, motherfucker. Yeah, I think you can maybe see why he was making people lose their minds. I'm so happy with this build. I'm sorry. I'll keep doing the story in the next video. Look at this thing. I made him a detachable stand and everything. Boy, I picked a terrible spot to leave off. Brutaka finds himself face to face with Tren Krom, and the beastly entity speaks.
Well, visitors, it's been a long-ass fucking time!
That's precisely the line from the story, I promise. The rest of the team has arrived and are stricken by the horror before them. Courteous as ever, Tren Krom affords the team an exposition dump.
I was created by the great beings to oversee the birth of the great spirit Madanui. I used to be in charge, but when Madanui was awakened, the great beings took me off the motherfucking schedule and locked me in this goddamn cave. I don't get a lot of visitors, nor do I get basic cable on Netflix. So I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Tren Krom then proceeds to psychically mindfuck the last 80,000 years of history out of Lariska's cranium. Man, she just showed up and she's already getting absolutely fucked. This is terrible. Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier. Tren Krom is now aware of what's going on in the universe, and his reaction is basically,
The Makuta are trying to take over. Fascinating. I remember talking to Mutron all those years ago, and I informed him how to best strike at the Great Spirit. I see their plans are coming to fruition. Anyway, that's cool. I'm just gonna keep you guys here and fuck with your brains until you can't think no more.
The team attempts to make an appeal to Tren Krom's sensibilities, and they inform him that if they aren't let go, the Brotherhood will take over and they will rule with an iron shadowy fist and destroy anything that gets in their way, including our boy Tren Krom. Tren Krom just laughs, which is apparently a horrible sound.
Those fuckers can't kill me! I'm a fucking god! I am eternal!
At which point, Karapar proceeds to attempt to kill him. Will this roided-up crab man succeed in killing a literal god? Find out next time. No, he won't. Absolutely not. Bam! Welcome, everybody. When we left off, Karapar was totally about to kill Tren Krom. Except he absolutely wasn't. As Karapar is about to strike, an eyeball is birthed on the skin of Tren Krom and looks directly at the motherfucker. Karapar is then blasted with 1.21 gigawatts of eldritch radiation, turning him into glass and causing him to shatter into a quadrillion pieces. Reduced to atoms. This happens remarkably often in the Bionicle series, actually. Tren Krom then makes the executive decision that keeping these chucklefucks around just isn't worth his time.
I helped birth a universe of order, and your kind has thrown it to chaos. The truest torture I could visit upon you is making you live in the universe that you have created. Have the day you deserve and get the fuck out of my cave!
The gang wastes absolutely no time getting the hell out of Dodge. They get on their boat, raise anchor, and never look back. After not too long a time of sailing, Brutaka and Lariska notice that Takedox has become a little bit despondent. Doing a Gilbert Gottfried impression will really fuck with your throat. Brutaka and Lariska are observing Takedox, who seemed incredibly depressed since he witnessed Karapar get wiped from existence. Lariska comments to Brutaka that it is kinda sad that Takedox had to lose one of his friends. But Brutaka laughs her off. See, he understands that Takedox was never a friend to Karapar. Takedox kept company with Karapar because Karapar was easily manipulated. And as we've come to know, Takedox is a master manipulator. One who has just lost his main mark. Manipulators don't lose friends, they lose power. And that's what Takedox is sad about. I think plenty of us, myself included, have had one or more Takedoxes in our life. Lariska's like, that's fucked, and Brutaka's like, yup, anyway, we're here. The gang has arrived at their final destination, the island of Artidax. Years ago, after the Makuta revolted against Miserix, Spiria and another guy named Krika were tasked with old Yellering Miserix. But neither of them had the stomach for it, so instead they just locked him on an island. Hello, fellow engineers! The gang sets foot on the island of Artidax, and almost immediately Makuta Spiria starts getting eaten by mutant quicksand. He's saved by Rudaka, who uses her mutation powers to turn the sand into a bunch of harmless bugs. After some conferring, the gang realizes two things. The first of these realizations is that Spiria's former companion, Krika, rigged this island with a bunch of traps that were specifically designed to capture Makuta. Both to keep Makuta Miserix on the island and to keep any other Makuta from hunting him down. The second realization the gang has is that this means that they can use Spiria as bait. Spiria's first reaction is, of course, absolutely not. But Brutaka takes him aside and says, look, the Brotherhood is gonna need a new leader when this all is done. My associates reward those who help them. The reward in it for you could be leadership of the Brotherhood of Makuta. Spiria's reaction to this is, fine, whatever. Once Spiria is out of earshot, Lariska's like, he's never gonna get that position, and Brutaka's like, yeah, I know. What's happening for him? As the gang descends into the vast tunnel networks of the island, they run into their first major roadblock. And that roadblock is that much like a white chick who listens to Kanye a bit too much for comfort, Takedox cannot be fucking trusted. The motherfucker hangs behind, causes a rock slide, and then books it back to the boat, never to be seen again. So long, suckers! Most of the team wants to go after him and murder his ass, but Brutaka reminds them that no, they have a job to do. That job becomes exceedingly more difficult to do once they start to get assaulted by a swarm of angry carnivorous insects. But Rudaka once again comes to the rescue with her mutation powers. She uses her spinner to mutate a couple of the insects. Their former comrades, now recognizing them as completely different animals, pounce on them. Rudaka repeats this process until the insects have pretty much all eaten each other. We stan a solution-focused robot girl boss mommy dom. Anyhow, with the path now cleared, the gang can now see what they came here for. Standing before them, shackled to the floor, is Miserix. Before we get started, this is the model that I'm using for Miserix. This is not what Miserix looks like. The gang finally confronts the person that they've been looking for all this time. Miserix, an approximately 40-foot-long dragon man, is being chained to the ground and harangued by a bunch of small flying creatures known as Clack. They emit sonic shrieks that damage the constitutions of their targets. Miserix has been dealing with this for tens of thousands of years. The screams never get any quieter. The first person he notices is Spiria, and he asks, why the fuck didn't you come get me sooner, you little shit? Spiria is like, I was going to, and Miserix is like, but you didn't. Miserix then launches his shadow hand out of his chest and glomps Spiria. Spiria is now dead. Then Vizon says some wisecracky bullshit, and Miserix just blasts him with his laser eyes. It's very clear that the only thing holding Miserix back from going absolutely bugfuck is the fact that he's chained to the ground. Something Brutaka is about to rectify. As soon as I'm done with this video, I'm gonna eat this lime. The chains that bind Miserix to the ground are incredibly strong because they sap his power to maintain their strength. And Miserix is a very powerful being, so naturally these chains are very, very powerful. And breaking him free of them would not only be impossible for him, but would cause him great pain for someone else to do. Brutaka does not give a shit. He and Rudaka get to work severing the chains that bind Miserix. As Miserix screams in pain, it agitates the Clack, who begin to attack the intruders. It's up to Lariska and Vizon to fight them off, while Brutaka and Rudaka break the chains that hold Miserix. Once Miserix is broken free, he unleashes a power scream that knocks all of the Clack out of the sky. He then punches a hole in the side of his prison so that they can all walk out. And then, I shit you not, they all get on his back, never-ending story style, to fly to wherever the fuck Pterodax is to beat the shit out of him. And that's the ending of Suicide Squad. I mean Federation of Fear. Fuck!